Hello, my name is Bill Berquist. I'm a member of the Global Psychology Task Force, and we are providing a series of resources for you to use in dealing with the psychological dimensions of the current virus outbreak and crisis. We're looking at them from a number of perspectives in terms of our work with our own parents, our work within our families, our work in our community. And in this video cast, I want to just briefly talk about our work with our children, if we have children, especially living at home. What we now know is, as parents, we often now have to play 2 or 3 different roles with our children. First of all, we should be a source of nurturance. That is, our children, no matter what their age, need their parents to be there and comforting them through this crisis and this period of high stress and high unpredictability. There is a second role, however, which for many parents is kind of new, which their children are now having to stay at home rather than going to school. So the parent is now faced with the challenge of suddenly becoming an educator, helping their children with their lessons, or helping them, find something they want to learn, keep them busy, occupied during the day. There's then a third role, I would essentially say. This is a tough one. That parents often have to be the guardians of the boundaries, that we know that we have to stay in our homes unless it's absolutely essential to leave, as a way not only to not catch the virus, but also not be complicit in spreading it in some ways. Our children understandably want to get out and away. And they want to meet with their friends in person, not just simply by social media or by Twitter, Facebook, all the different means. They want to meet with them in person. They want to be able to hang out with them. And we must at times set the boundaries for our children about this. Now, I want to just suggest that there's a little bit different roles that we play depending on the age of our children. For those of us who have young children, it is primarily about nurturance. There's that extraordinary song that Stephen Sondheim's written for the musical called Sweeney Todd, where essentially one of the people in it is saying, "Nothing's going to harm you, not while I'm around." Well, in many ways, that song should be kind of the motif, the message that we're delivering again and again to our children when they are young. They're likely to be particularly frightened. They often can pick up our own fear. They're sensitive to that. And they're hearing on the media, if at all, unless we block it entirely, they're hearing about people dying, about various kinds of horrible things occurring around the world. And often for young children, it's very hard to monitor. There's something called kind of a primary narcissism, where the child will often take in the external events and personalize it. So they will worry that they are themselves dying. They will worry that their parents are dying. So what do we do to support our children? Well, of course, while we're at home, social distancing is not the answer. We need to be socially close. We need to be hugging our children. We need to be spending time with them. We need to not make sure that they're not spending all the time in front of the television, but rather being with us. We need to have special events with our young children. so that they will see that this is not all evil, bad, horrible stuff happening, but that in the family, nothing's going to hurt me, not why you're around. What happens when our children get older? Well, that's where the demands for providing some education occurs. On this website, we're providing a number of links for you to various educational resources. If your child or children are older, one of the ones I find wonderful with my own grandchildren is the company called the Teaching Company, and the great courses where they have wonderful, wonderful programs. Also, by the way, it's not just for adults. They have various programs specifically for older children, junior high school age, ranging from algebra to philosophy to all sorts of things. You might want to look into this, and especially if there's any way that the lecture series is one that you want to watch alongside your child, which could be a wonderful thing, which you can't do when they're going off to school. Then the other part of it, obviously, is the boundary setting. We're going to provide some scripts on this website where we'll be talking about what's called crucial or critical conversations that we can have with our growing up young adult children about their need to stay indoors or at least stay in the local yard, to be very, very careful about interacting in person with others. How do they stay connected? Obviously, most of our young adults today are very savvy about the internet. Once again, Zoom can be a wonderful tool. So if your child is not connected, that could be one of the gifts you give them, to say, you need to stay home, but we're going to have, on our computer, we're going to have it all set up so that you can use Zoom and you can see people and your friends and everything in full color, full spectrum on a big computer screen. Or even, by the way, there are ways in which you can connect that to a TV screen to make it even bigger. So that's boundary setting for your children who are older. What if your children are adults? Well, one of the things I would strongly recommend is, again, Zoom. How do we keep in regular touch with our adult children? We often take those connections for granted, and we don't talk with our adult children maybe for several weeks or even a month, particularly if they're scattered around the world. Under the conditions of the virus, keeping closely connected with your children will be very important. In part because they're going to be worried about you. And so you keeping connected with them enables them to not have to worry about you, along with all the other concerns they have about their own life and the life of their own children, your grandchildren. But that connection also can mean that even though they're grown up, they still want your nurturance, your support. Maybe you can't say nothing's going to harm you, not while I'm around. But you can at least say, whether you're harmed or not, I will always be there for you. And what better message could we ever deliver to our children of any age than that we're always there for them, no matter what happens in this time of the virus. Thank you very much.